Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Hope you all are doing well. This is a controversial message. I don't often do these, but this is a controversial message that I think women of color need to hear. I think that I'm at a crossroads where I'm just going to do it and we're going to just get through it, and it is what it is. Bring a friend, tell a friend, because I don't do a lot of these. So when I go controversial, get ready. It's going to be preachy. It's going to be everything that you probably never anticipated it will be. And the reason I'm specifically talking to women of color today is because I was reading something earlier, and I think it was just like put upon my spirit that this belongs for women of color specifically, because I talk to all women in general. Hello, Miss Williams. Long time no see. I talk to all women in general, but today something came across. So long story short, let's just call a day a day. I run these Sunday calls for the confidence factor. So if you're not part of my group, you wouldn't necessarily see this. So if you're not a part of my confidence factor meant for her club, every Sunday I run these calls. It's about 3 hours long. We talk about every issue from what women need to do to get into business to running multi-million-dollar companies and all the stuff in between. So it's a great message that I share with these women every single week. However, in a COVID-19 world and reality, I've had to change up a lot of my messaging because, of course, when I started the Confidence Factors back in 2015, I didn't start it for COVID-19 to ever be a disruptor. But now that I've changed the messaging within the group and within all of these women, hello, Miss Katina. Now that I've changed the messaging within the group and with all of these women, one of the things that it has been pressed upon my spirit and pressed upon my real intention is to really get Black women to listen to a little bit of a different message. You see, prior to COVID-19, I think that Black women had been distracted. I really do. And what I mean by that is, as long as there was money flowing, people had businesses, and you had a car and you had a bag and a purse, and Love and Hip Hop was on and all kinds of other distractions were happening, we didn't think it was a big deal. And so COVID has now become, I'm not even going to call it the great equalizer, but it is the great informer. Now we're starting to see disparities in certain communities that we probably had never noticed before, or really just never talked about before, because I'm not going to ever tell you that these issues were not going on. But I'm going to tell you from my standpoint, there was a period of time I was preaching the real estate message. I was preaching to the real estate choir, like buy some real estate, buy some real estate. And I wasn't getting the attention of Black women. They were just coming in like, okay, Carol, you and your little real estate, you're always talking real estate, and just ignoring it, right? We were all good. And then COVID hit, bam, brick. So all of you who are speakers, you're entrepreneurs, you're just all panicking. And then this morning, I then get this message from one of these speakerpreneurs who was like, oh, come to my this, come to my that. And then I'm like, but that was a message pre-COVID. You're just trying to resell and repackage and rehydrate old messages, but I'm not going to go there. And as I'm listening, I then come across a news article that is the basis of why I'm in a preachy kind of mood to women of color. This article was about, and I know part of it is in the New York Times, the other part of it is in the Financial Times. You'd have to kind of just read both and kind of intersect where you fit in. It talks about Black women being the head of the household at this particular time, because a lot of Black men have been furloughed or laid off of their jobs, or they're frontline workers who their income may have been cut. And this is not like a new problem. This has been going on for many of centuries, so to speak. But they're talking about the influx of women of color who have now taken on more than one role and are underpaid. And then right in the Financial Times piece of this, it was talking about, even though women of color have been the predominant gender and the predominant amount of people who have been taking on such roles, the problem is that when the CARES Act and the stimulus plan and all this other stuff was put into place, the black women weren't really part of the discussion because we're not really part of Congress in the United States. We weren't really part of the discussion. So we weren't part of the legislation when they came and dropped this $2.2 billion stimulus package in our hands. So of course your little $1,200 went to you, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about those of you who own businesses, those of you who didn't get a part of the PPP and the EDIL and all these other economic stimulus packages. And so we were all shouting, why did Shake Shack get this? And why did Harvard get that? Not knowing what the problem really was. And I'm going to talk about solutions today. So not knowing really what the problem was. So I go back to the Carol Sankar message of 2019, buy real estate, buy real estate, buy real estate, right? So the problem then became that the lack of information and the lack of wealth in our community became the hindrance of why you couldn't get access to the PPP and the EDIL. Because one of the things that no one really, that if you, especially if you didn't read the legislation, it doesn't talk about what you need to have. So as a woman of color who goes to a black hair salon, because I don't know anybody else who could do these edges quite like we do, as a woman who has had to, bear some of the brunt of some of this because of some of the communities I am a part of, as I'm watching hair salons go out of business, and I'm not even talking about clothes, they're just out of business, like the signs are coming down. And as I'm watching my black barbers going out of business, and businesses that have been proportionately in our communities that have served us, that we have been a part of, and that have made some people very wealthy beyond standards that we're used to. As I'm seeing them now close down, and I'm looking at the legislation, I'm reading the article, and it says 81% of black women have been the primary breadwinners in their family, then I put all of this together and I say, when I was trying to preach to a choir that wasn't listening, it wasn't important. And as I continue to now shift in my perspective about what I plan on doing, because I already have been very honest that I'm not sure if I ever want to speak again. I'm not sure if I want to tour again. I'm not sure where I stand on that. I'm not sure if I'm willing to put my family's health in jeopardy, but I have a backup. I got real estate, tons of it. So I don't feel the impact that hard. But those of you who have been feeling the impact that hard, I'm going to actually teach you a little bit of a lesson of why the EDIL and the PPP has not been written with you in mind. It wasn't written with you in mind because you have a group of people who, there's a few of us in the room, but not a lot of us. And always remember, when they write stuff without us, but about us, and you're not part of that legislation, you really wouldn't understand. One of the things that the PPP had in it that most people didn't read on page like 984 was about being able to quantify the metrics of wealth. But it doesn't talk about wealth. It just talks about different things that you should have in your Rolodex in order for you to get that. And one of those things it keeps talking about is having banking relationships. Banking relationships. So women of color, let me your ears for but 2 seconds. When they talk about banking relationships, they're not talking about going in and making a deposit at your local bank. What they're talking about is having banking relationships. So today I'm going to tell you what you need to do to get post-COVID-19 ready as a woman of color. The one thing we are not going to do in post-COVID culture is we're not going to start any more of these low margin businesses. Like, I'm done with that. Like, if I hear one more freaking coach and I'm a low level speaker, like, I'm done with that. Like, we're so done. Some of you have been like on the margin of, as long as I can pay my light bill, this is what I call business. Like, we're so done. Let's call that a day. Let's stop reteaching bad information amongst ourselves. And I want to get you post-COVID ready, because when the dust settles, the goalpost will be moved. Let me say that one more time. When the dust settles, the goalpost for women of color will be moved. And some of us don't even see that as coming. We think it's a joke, but when the dust settles, the goalpost for us will be moved. And what that means is, when we talk about banking relationships, let me tell you what that really means. Let's go into a synopsis of what that really means. And before I get angry and the dye starts to run down my face, let me tell you what it really means. What it means is, number one, get your credit in order. Ladies, let me say this again. All of that was making joke back in the day, and it was funny in our community, and I have a 519 credit score, and you were bragging about that because you thought it was funny. It has come to bite you in the butt, because that's why you can't get a banking relationship, because your credit is out of order. Today, while you're home and you don't need it, take the time to focus on getting your credit in order. This is going to matter significantly. Stop trying to hire these low rate people to come and help you do your credit. Go to annualcreditreport.com, order your credit, see what's on there, start adjudicating this stuff for yourself. And if you have a problem doing it yourself, do yourself a favor. Hire a lawyer. Don't do a credit counseling agency, please. Lord, get your credit in order. That's number one. Number two, there's going to be people in this market. As a matter of fact, as I sit here, I got to do this speech fast because I got a call that I'm waiting for any second now. So if I just cut you guys off, it's because I've been waiting on this call all day. I have somebody going and touring a piece of property for me right now. And okay, I just got the text, but I'm going to be here with you guys first. You are first. So my second thing is get your credit. First thing is get your credit in order. My second thing is buy a piece of junk real estate and buy it fast. Okay? I'm trying to teach you how to get banking relationships. The reason why you don't understand that part of the legislation, this is where the goalpost is moved. That's language that has an intentional meaning behind it. Because what they're trying to say is if they can actually leverage something, they can actually get something back from you. What I mean by that something is if you owned a piece of real estate, you don't have to, look, I'm not trying to teach you how to be the next flip my house specialist. What I'm trying to teach you how to do is to have net worth. So when you go to the bank, you can trade it for cash, right? So let's just say you went to Ohio. Let's just say you went to Milwaukee and you bought a piece of property you got a $1,200 check the other day. If you didn't spend it all, you could have gone and got a little piece of crap house or a piece of land, dirt. Doesn't even really matter. Nothing needs to be on it. You're not flipping it. You're just buying it to hold it on your name. And then you turn around and you go to your bank and you facilitate a relationship by actually refinancing that piece of dirt. Even if you paid $1,000 for it and you get $1,000 from the bank, you now have what we call a banking relationship. Boom. Now you've borrowed money against something that's a junk bond. You take that junk money and then you go and you put it in your bank and you hold on to that and you consistently pay that over time. You haven't done anything. You're not doing anything specific. You go and then if you got money from it, when I say money, if you got equity from it, you get another one. And then you do the same thing. Go to the bank, pull money from it. You're refinancing junk. It's money you've already paid. You don't have to get a mortgage. You can get junk pieces of property anywhere. And that's what I'm waiting for, a phone call right now. This is probably why I got passionate. Because I'm buying a piece of junk property. I have a lot of junk properties, but I also have a lot of good properties. But I buy junk properties for one specific reason. So I can keep lots of banking relationships. So that when I call my bank, hi, this is Kat. Oh my gosh, how you doing? How's your daughter doing? I have a banking relationship because I borrowed so much money from them that they are automatically willing to deposit money into my account. They give me money for no specific reason. I don't have to pay it back. These are grants. They're all available. Now, the reason why I say this particularly right now is because our tax season has been extended to July. So that means right now, those people who were already in foreclosure or having problems paying their taxes or may not have enough money to pay their taxes now have until July 15th. So from today till July 15th, you can go get a junk piece of property for whatever they owed in taxes in 2019. You hold on to it. Go to any bank. Just walk in at the bank. Just walk in at the bank. You don't have to be a member. Walk into BB&T, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Say, hey, Mr. Loan Officer. Now, mind you, only paid like $500 for this piece of junk. You haven't seen it. You don't need to see it. Don't romance this, right? You go in there and you say, guess what? I got this piece of property I want to refi. Because now your credit is better. You got a piece of an asset. And now you trade that for some cash. And then you keep that money in the bank. Let that flow for a little bit. Make 2 or 3 payments on it. Go get another one. Keep that money in the bank. Go get another one. But the only way for you to get a banking relationship is not to make deposits. It's for the bank to lend you money against something you already have. Because here's the thing. The problem with this whole what black women didn't know is that many of the black women who owned the salons in the hood and owned the nail shops in the hood, they didn't own the real estate. All they owned was the salon that they rented. And as long as money kept flowing in, we didn't think it was a big deal until they said, banking relationship. And then you're like, but I make deposits all the time. No, they don't want deposits. They want to see what you're going to do if they lend you money. This is how you keep money rolling in your community, by your block, and build net worth. But when I was saying it, I was being ignored, but I understood why. Because times were good, so why would I need to buy it? But now that the market is on scared patrol, go buy it now and just sit on it. Just go buy it, come back home with your title in hand, buy junk. Don't go out here and try to flip this house, whatever. Just buy it, go to your bank, refinance it. You can buy it under your business, but I prefer you buy it under your name, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why you want to buy under your personal name. This is not a business thing, so I'm not even talking about that part. The reason why you want to buy it under your personal name is because your credit is shot. Your credit looks like pre-COVID. You need post-COVID credit. You need to be, the new credit guidelines, 669 is now considered low. So you need to be at that 740, 750 and raising higher. So this is why you have to fix your personal credit so you bang out. You're not actually looking, you have no personal liability for this. This is why you use your personal name. You're not looking to actually have any personal liability with this. This is not where somebody's living and they can slip and fall. This is strictly you using this to build cash. Okay, so now that you've gotten the first part taken care of, you got your credit, you buy the junk properties, right? You go in the bank, you go get loans against these pieces of property. A year from now, we'll have this conversation, right? Because, you know, those of you who don't get it, real estate takes time. A year from now, we'll have these conversations. You build it into a portfolio and you sell that. When we come back after this particular break called COVID-19, you should be in a place where you want for nothing. You want for nothing because you will have everything you would have already needed. And then if you want to go into the business category of actually having business lines of credit, this is kind of how you do it. But the thing is, a lot of us didn't have our business in order. As long as cash was flowing in, we were like, oh, okay, this sounds great. But now the real reality has hit that most of the people who apply for PPP or apply for the EDIL didn't get it. Appropriations ran out the first time, you got some back, and now when they're talking about it, we're not part of the conversation because we don't know what a relationship with a bank is. A relationship is not where you put money in. A relationship is when you get money out. And once they give you money and see how responsible you are with that money, then you're able to build solid, big businesses. Because my last point to you before I gotta go take this call, because this is extremely important to me, I don't want to see no more small businesses in the Black women's community. I'm sorry. I'm so sick of it. I don't want to see it because the unfortunate reality is when this hit, it hit us. And it hit us for a specific reason. It hit us because playing small, we couldn't play with everybody else. We played double dutch in our community, but we didn't play jump rope in anybody else's. And then when it hit us and all of these events then went to a head and all these coaches are sitting at home scratching their real gray hairs now, they don't know what to do because that small business mindset has really hit home. For example, a lot of the things that I'm probably a little bit more aware of, it was a period of time before I started playing real estate that I was probably playing small. I was touring properties. I was doing this. I was doing that. And I had clients at one point. But when I got rid of the business coaching model of my own business, my life took off because I started freeing myself and liberating myself from the things that were holding my time hostage. And when I did that, everybody was laughing, but I understood why, because in our community, we celebrate small. But when we get big, we start kind of like, I don't understand why she's doing that. Why would you want to go that big? It's because when you go small, when these things happen, we panic. And if you were big enough, you don't need to worry at all. We are not going to go into 2021 because I'm already planning for 2021. I'm done with 2020, yes? When we go into 2021, I don't want to see any more small businesses in our community. I'm sick of it. Like I'm at this point where there's going to be another preaching moment where I'm going to talk about what small business really means. It is harmful for us to continue to really go to this level of like crabs in a barrel, just trying to, everybody's competing. I remember Vusi Tembeguayo said it best. In our communities, we have a lot of the Me Too businesses. And when I mean Me Too, not Me Too movement, but Me Too. You have a car detailing business. business, me too. You have a blinds business, me too. You have a hair business, me too. We have a lot of me too. And we have a lot of competing business models. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is making products and services to fit the global market. We're making it to fit the people next door. We got to change that level of thinking. And that's why I said, if we don't build these banking relationships, these banks are not going to lend to us. And these banks are going, because the thing is, here's why I say that the bank thing is really the most important part of my discussion here today, is because this is the only part of the process where it's not racialized. Nobody's going to ask you on an application for that kind of refi who you are or what you are. They simply want to make sure that you're going for whatever you need. So this is the only part of the process that's not racialized. But if you don't have your stuff in order, then of course it looks racialized because you don't necessarily know how to get into that part of the market, because we've ignored a lot of the big banks. We've gone to the check cashing, or we've gone in the bank and just made a deposit. We didn't really take this seriously. So again, when we come out of this, build real businesses, real competitive edge businesses, so that when the CEO of a multi-billion dollar company is sitting there, you should be sitting right there with us, because again, they're making decisions about us without us. And a lot of times when we're not participating in these conversations, we march after the fact. And the thing is, we were not building businesses that were in competitive level before COVID. So let's not even act as though this was like a surprise. They were not factoring you in mind. And we are the mothers, we are the gatekeepers, we are the breadwinners, we are the leaders, we were everything. And now we are at the center with our arms folded, waiting for somebody else to give us something. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, do you see how much untapped potential we have that we don't tap into? Simply because we're scared, simply because our credit is shot, simply because we won't work on the things we said we need to work on. You are home now. You are on quarantine. You are sitting in your lovely abode. Work on the things you said you were going to work on. Forget about that book and that coaching program for just a second. That's not necessarily important. Build a banking relationship. I guarantee you in 30 days, if you build a banking relationship, when you come back out with your book and your coaching program, you'll be in a totally different position. But if you continue to do the small, when this all settles and they move the goalposts, last time I'm going to say this, we don't get the notification till after it has been moved. I just showed you how you can get in on the goalpost. You go to Milwaukee, you go to certain parts of Ohio, you go to Maine, you go to upstate New York, you go to Vermont, get some junk pieces of property and leverage against that in the world of banking, and come back and watch how banks start responding and talking to you in a different tone because you borrowed some money. I don't really see how this is possible after this particular COVID is over. Miss Bree, I understand why people are out of business 6 days after they're actually disrupted. A lot of times they didn't plan. Think about it. If it's a cash on cash business, they made cash today, they spent it tomorrow. They didn't think long term. So when you don't have reserves for a rainy day, because again, for 10 years, everybody thought, oh, the rainy day won't happen. Rain, you put up an umbrella and you keep going. They didn't think about that. And when you think in small terms, as long as you wake up the next day, you think you can keep going. And what I thought, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday about something that's so strange. So I was in the process of buying a car right around the time this happened. I've been talking about buying a car forever, and I've been putting it off for a long time because I hadn't needed one. And in February, I went to go take a look at a car. I test drove a car. I actually liked it and I wanted to buy it. But what happened was I had to travel. When I came back, you get caught up in things and you kind of forget. And I kind of forgot. I was like, oh, I did go look at that. Yeah, that did happen, right? Because I forgot completely about it. Now the dealership is on my backside. Carol, we'll bring it to your house. Carol, we COVID cleaned the car. Carol, you want to... Why? Because they didn't have 60 days worth of reserves, because they were cash on cash. As long as people kept coming into the dealership and buying a car, they didn't have to plan for the next day. Now they're calling all the people that were there the day before, and now they're like, oh, remember you were here in February 23rd to be exact. You want me to bring the car to you? Now I'm like, I don't really need it because I haven't driven anywhere. I've probably driven 23 miles in the last four weeks. And so they didn't really plan like what would happen? They kept opening into the dealership, and as long as we kept coming in and financing cars, they weren't worried about the next day. And that's the same thing that has happened to women of color. As long as we can get up the next day and get the next coaching client, the next speaking gig, the next this, the next that, the next perfume sale, the next MLM, we weren't thinking what would happen if this all came to a head. And because we don't know, and please don't give me politics, I'm not really interested, I will delete you. Because we don't know when this country will open up, if this country will open up, or if we will even have the means to open up, you have to now think, what then happens to me and my family if there's no other check coming in, right? So now that we have to think that way, you've got to do what you have to do to protect your block, your bank, your family. And this is why I said, if you don't build this banking relationship, because this new EDIL, let me tell you something. I don't know if, they read the legislation. It came back out last night. When I read it, I said, wow, this is not about you. Because a lot of you not even seeing the little lines in there. They're not even talking about you. You got to build the relationships that you're going to need to get what you need so that you can ensure that you're recession proof. Because the reason why that EDIL is bothering my soul is because when that is all done and over with, if we open back up, let's just say if we open up in November, that's going to be part of you in order for anything to happen. And let me just also tell you this. Some years ago, I saw something like this happening, but I didn't know how to warn you guys. I was pitched by the SBA some years ago to run a program called Dibbles. And I think that the Dibbles legislation is the same thing as the EDIL, but it was so many years ago. And because this is not my natural hair color, I can't remember if it was the same thing or not. Please forgive me and don't kill me for that. They ran a program to get more women of color to borrow money from the SBA. And of course, they brought in luscious me to be able to help them with some of the localized funding and programs. And the problem was they had said banking relationships back then, but I don't remember why we didn't go any further with it. I just don't remember everything that happened. And I said something about it in a speech about how after running this program, I think I only ran it for maybe 3 weeks, I saw the writing on the wall. And at first I thought it was the SBA's problem. But I realized now in hindsight, especially with more clearer thinking, it really wasn't the SBA's problem. It was who wrote the legislation that the SBA had to be guided by. And so now that we're seeing that all of these things are blocking up on us, and we're saying, well, why can't the hair salons get the money? Why can't the nail techs get the money? Why can't the Uber drivers get the money? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? It's because that little line that I didn't understand back then, probably I didn't care back then, that little line called banking relationship, that mattered. I didn't get it then. I probably didn't care then. Again, I've been in the real estate industry for a long time, so I probably didn't care. I care now because not enough of us know how to do that and how to hack the system so that we can be able to benefit from the same system we pay into. You pay taxes. As long as you pay taxes, you earned your right. You get up every morning, you went to work before this happened, then you earned your right. You should not be in a position where you're sitting back and not knowing what a banking relationship is. Because the thing is, they did not write it out to be able to explain how to get it. They just thought you understood it. And don't you know that when people think you understand something, they just write it in as a line and they keep going. It's almost like how when I talk to my son and I say something in my native Creole or something like that, and he's like, what is that? And I guess I said, Ramoje. And he's like, don't understand that word. But he didn't say anything. He just let me keep talking because he thought that in further sentences that would be self-explanatory. And then until he said, Mom, remember what you had said, this is word, and it wasn't English and I didn't understand it. I didn't tell you. And I was like, why didn't you tell me you didn't understand it? Until I realized he didn't get it, but it took him several hours to admit it. And sometimes with us, when we don't understand something, we don't go to the right people to get that information. We go to people who also don't understand it to help us possibly dissect it. So today I'm giving you permission. Do me a favor. Get up, get dressed, look on your, all y'all got a phone. All y'all got a phone, right? Get dressed. Find junk properties. They're all over the place. Get you one. Just start today. Get you one. Under $1,000. Go get you a piece of junk someplace. Buy it. No, you don't have to go see it. I will never tell you you have to go, oh, Carol, but I'm in Brooklyn, New York. No, I didn't tell you to go in Brooklyn, New York. I said to go in places where it's affordable and junk. And just go and find one. Buy it with the money you have. Come back home with your title. Go to the bank and build a relationship by taking money out against it. And in 30 days, you contact me back and let me know if that didn't work. And then you go reapply for the PPP and see how much money they lend you then. Because now you have a banking relationship, don't you? The banking relationship is not the money you put in. It's the money they give you in return. Fix your credit. Fix that thing. 669 is the lease. All right? And go from there. All right. I'll see you guys soon.